who is, we'll talk about Elon Musk, who's claiming that Hitler was not a capitalist, but a socialist. Also, Mark Zuckerberg was, of course, on Joe Rogan. We'll cover that as well. And much more. I just want to show you, I want to leave you off with this video real quick, though, before I do that. Here's a brief snippet from my conversation with Sean.
Let's talk about Luigi.
All right.
This is not acceptable, murdering someone in the street, but it's a reality of how people are failing throughout this country.
Yeah.
They may not act out, and hopefully they will not act out like Luigi did, but we can't make this guy a folk hero either.
But insurance, for-profit healthcare is so devastating that it has touched the lives of virtually every single American. And they see it as murder. They see it as, okay, we paid these high premiums. And all of a sudden the insurance started denying my grandmother's chemotherapy, and now she has to die. That's murder. The average American sees that in the exact same way that all these CEOs and all these corporate executives see what Luigi Mangione did.
But we're definitely not in disagreement on that.
Yeah. Nice fit on the show. I like it. Thank you. The socialist and concentration camps were leftists and fighting. Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second. Hold on. And yes, we will be talking about ICE being out in San Jose and all this other stuff that's going on with the Laken Riley Act as well. Fear not. What is it with you and bald men? I don't know, man. It just happens to be that way. Okay, calm down. You're fit with stolen valor. Mel Gibson was also on Joe Rogan being insane. Wait, what? Mel Gibson was on Joe Rogan.
This story that you want to tell about good and evil, like, do you have a script, or is it just a thing in your head? What is it?
Yeah, it's the resurrection story.
I got
but it's not linear, because you can't really. It's hard to understand, so it's got to be put in a framework where you answer a few other questions as well, and you have to juxtapose the event itself against everything else, so that it makes some kind of sense in a bigger picture, which is a hard thing to do. And it took my brother and I and a guy called Randall Wallace, plus my brother and I, took us 6-7 years to write it.
So are you doing this with historians as well? Are you trying to make it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, historical stuff. Well, I regard the Gospels as history. It's verifiable history. Some people say, oh, it's a fairy tale. He never existed, but he did. And there are other accounts, verifiable historical accounts outside the biblical ones, that also bear this up, that yes, he did exist. And the other aspect of that is that all the evangelists, the apostles who went out there, every single one of those guys died rather than deny their belief. And nobody dies for a lie. Nobody.
Right.
So that's part of what I'm doing. It's like showing nobody dies for a lie.
Yeah. Well, the resurrection is the one that is the most difficult for people to swallow.
Yes.
That's the one that requires.
Dude, what has happened to Joseph Robinette Rogan? Actually, he's like, leaving 30K people to get radicalized by Joe Rogan. Yeah, everyone is going to be radicalized instantaneously. It's like give it enough time. I feel like he's going to be anti-weed. Bills can't be that high. I just don't understand. Like, I feel like he is lost the plot in such spectacular fashion. Yeah, like he's like, the Jesus stuff seems real. Also, one of the fun little, one of the most insane parts about the story is that, yes, apparently Mel Gibson's house was actively burning down while he and Joe were openly doubting climate change on this broadcast. And that Mel Gibson talked about curing cancer with, that's right, ivermectin. Hold on. Let's finish this and I'll get to that too.
Faith in the most belief. Yeah, resurrection.
Yeah.
Who gets back up 3 days later after he gets murdered in public? Who gets back up under his own power? Buddha didn't do that shit.
Right.
So.
You believe that was a real event?
Yeah, I do.
Come on, man. Even Joe's like, was that? You think that's real? You think? I love these guys, man. They're like, Jesus actually got killed and then was resurrected after 3 days. That's real. Ivermectin cured cancer. That's also real. You know what's not real? Climate change. I love that Buddha didn't do that shit line in it, too. He's just like, yeah, El Buddha. Oh, this is amazing. All right, let's see what else he was cooking up. I like that Mel Gibson has not even remotely reconsidered any of his like manic statements that originally got him canceled, which is not real anyway. Like there's no such thing as like real cancellation anyway. But like he is notoriously a rabid, a vicious man. Very famously has said a lot of inappropriate things. I'm trying to be as nice as possible.
I'll tell you a good story.
Okay.
I have 3 friends. All 3 of them had stage 4 cancer.
What kind of toxic? This man is radiating toxic fumes or something. If all 3 close friends all had cancer after listening to Mel Gibson talk.
All 3 of them don't have cancer right now at all. And they had some serious stuff going on.
And what did they take?
Jesus. They took some, what you've heard they've taken.
Ivermectin.
Fenbendazole.
Fenbendazole. Yeah. I'm hearing that a lot.
They drank hydrochloride something or other.
There's studies on that now where people have proven that they...
Bro, do these guys have like an ivermectin sponsorship? Like, what's going on? The producers of ivermectin have come out and been like, no, dude, this is not like some kind of miracle drug. Yeah, they drank hydrochloric acid, dude. Hydrochloride. They drank hydrochloride. Why is he nodding his head like that? Because he's mentally unwell. What are you talking about? It's just like, I don't know why they are so invested in ivermectin. Like they shill ivermectin like they got stock options. Okay. And it was born directly out of having a contrarian, like anti-mainstream narrative. It's not born out of like an immediate material benefit. Purely out of just like, I don't trust mainstream narratives. They told me that this is not going to be a cure, so I'm going to go ahead and assume it's a cure. That's so crazy. They succeeded doing the Tide Pod challenge. Yeah, these are the same guys who are like, this next generation is eating Tide Pods. And then they're like, nah, but also ivermectin cures cancer.
It's drinking methylene blue and stuff like that.
Yeah, methylene blue, which was a fabric dye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a textile dye. And now they find out it has profound effects on your mitochondria.
Yep.
Yeah.
This stuff works, man.
I'm sorry, what? My mom had cancer and she was easily suggestible due to the sickness. Stepdad was an ivermectin nut and convinced her. Needless to say, she hasn't been with us for over 3 years now. I'm sorry about your loss, chatter. Just remember that your mom is not alone in this, okay? There are incredibly powerful, incredibly intelligent people with endless amounts of resources that find themselves in a similar predicament, Steve Jobs being famously one of these nutters. Okay, not calling your mom a nutter, but this is unfortunately all too common. And you can watch 2 incredibly wealthy people have this conversation with one another right now. Like, I think Mel Gibson is a real one. Like, I think he actually personally thinks that drinking chemical dye would save him.
There's a lot of stuff that does work, which is very strange because, again, it's profit. When you hear about things that are demonized and that turn out to be effective, you always wonder, well, what is going on here? How is our medical institutions, how have they failed us so that things that do cure you are not promoted because they're not profitable?
Okay, but like America is one of the few countries where everything is for profit. Like, this is the thing I don't understand. So for all of these other nations where they don't have for-profit healthcare, I guess pharmaceuticals are still technically for profit, even if the government is mass purchasing them at much lower prices overall. Like, why is their solution to eradicate the for-profit aspect of healthcare across the board, all the way to the pharmaceutical corporations? Like, why do they never arrive at an anti-capitalist thought? It's right there. You're literally saying the words. The words are coming out of your mouth. And yet, for some reason, it's just not even a question. Like, how can you openly say, it's akin to saying openly, Okay? Capitalism is a massive problem. These parasitic forces have destroyed society because they constantly put profit over the interests of people. And that's why you have to drink bleach. Like, how is this? How is that your like, how do you go from point A to point Z? How do you go on this journey? It doesn't make sense. He just openly says the words, profit is the reason why these companies operate the way that they do. And then their solution is to drink bleach because the profit centers are telling you not to drink bleach. It blows my mind that you can't just go, you know what the solution to this is? The eradication of the profit motive. It's never that. And it's crazy because I could sit here every goddamn day of the week and tell you that for-profit healthcare is a major problem, partially because it, breeds these sorts of conspiratorial-minded people and leads them astray down dangerous paths, right? I could tell you that every day of the week, and people go, nope, you're one of them. You're one of the societal elites that doesn't want me to drink bleach. I just don't understand it. People are so much more susceptible to these psychotic conspiracy theories before recognizing that the way that our systems are designed are unfair and broken. Mel Gibson reveals he couldn't walk for 3 months after taking Fauci's pet drug for COVID. Remdesivir kills you. I found out afterwards, and that's why I wonder about Fauci. Remdesivir is so lethal it got nicknamed Run Death is Near after it started killing thousands of COVID patients in the hospital, wrote Stella Paul, New York, in a previous report from the American Thinker in Epoch Times. The experts claimed that Remdesivir will stop COVID. Okay, let's watch this.
I got COVID from my gardener, and he had it first, and then I got it. And I was like, did I grab the hose or what? What was, I don't know. But it was...
Wait. That's not how you that's like week 1 of COVID stuff, assuming that you got COVID transmitted through like surface contact. I guess he's joking. I don't know.
I knew the guy for 20 years, and we both went to the same hospital, and he died and I didn't.
Jesus.
I think we both got remdesivir, which is not good.
Not good.
Not good.
Causes kidney failure.
I know. I couldn't walk for 3 months after I had that stuff.
Really?
Because it kills you. I found out afterwards it kills you. That's why.
Bro, you just said you got COVID from your gardener. He died, and you couldn't walk for 3 months. Okay, maybe it wasn't the remdesivir. Maybe it was the COVID. Like, what? You just admitted it killed the gardener. Or no, oh my God, he doesn't think COVID killed the gardener. He thinks remdesivir killed him. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I misunderstood what he was trying to say. Oh, I'm not operating on the level of stupid that he is. Oh, God. He's saying remdesivir killed him. Of course. I'm so dumb. I'm sorry. Of course it wasn't COVID that killed him.
I wonder about Fauci,
Oh, you should wonder about that guy. Yeah. When meanwhile, they were trying to...
What does Fauci have to do with remdesivir?
Stop people from getting monoclonal antibodies. Yeah. They've restricted monoclonal antibodies, which is fucking insane because they wanted to promote that vaccine because they wanted to profit off of it, which brings us back again to evil. Mm-hmm. Evil's real. It's real. Putting money over human lives is evil.
I agree.
It's a real thing, and there's a temptation to do it.
They take you for a communist when you talk about eradicating profit motive for companies. I guess you should specify for them that universal basic and primary needs should never be a profit-driven business. I do that all the time. It doesn't matter. People are so primed to become little cops and like read between the lines and assume the worst when you say things like that. Everyone is trained as like a little McCarthyist, okay? Everyone's got that dog in them where they go, you're saying certain things like everyone deserves healthcare. That's some pussy shit. That's some real socialism right there. And I'm trained into thinking that that's a bad thing. If you were to tell me that big pharmaceuticals are profit driven and therefore you should eat cow manure, I would be more inclined to believe you.
Too, which is even more crazy.
Oh, funny how you called yourself dumb for not being able to understand dumb. Don't worry, homie, you're good, lol. No, I am dumb, just not that level of dumb, okay? There's levels to it. America is the Disney Channel. Third Reich was a banger, E-Up Lovely take that I wanted to show you, by the way, from the Carter funeral. Registered nurses reuse remdesivir all the time with patients with pneumonia. It's a safe and effective drug. Lots of elderly die due to pneumonia. Remdesivir, hands down, saves them. Yeah, but okay. Some of them died in pneumonia. So remdesivir kills them is what I'm going to assume. Hillary's big ass head in the background. Yeah, it's weird how big her head is, dude. It's kind of crazy. All right. Donald Trump sends in the hush money case. I don't really care about it. SCOTUS is hearing oral arguments about banning TikTok. Also, here is Scott Geller on MSNBC talking about the revolutionary sentiment that is sparking amongst the working class that must liberate themselves from must emancipate themselves and crush the chains of capital. We're going to be covering that as well. And then I'll also get to the Lake and Riley Act and how devastating and dangerous that is. Did I say Scott Galloway or did I say the wrong? Yeah, he sucks, by the way. Scott Galloway is awful. Did I say Scott Geller? Oh.
We'll hear oral arguments today regarding the law that would effectively shut down the video sharing app in the U.S. And now President-elect Trump is weighing in. Dan Abrams standing by to break down the arguments. First, senior White House correspondent Selena Wang is at the court. Good morning, Selena.
TikTok will make its last stand. The app is set to be banned just days from now, so TikTok is making its final plea to stay in America.
Yeah, this is how they're making the plea. Look at these cool ass dances.
It's one of the most popular social media apps in America with an estimated 100 million.
Why is Scott Galloway bad? Yeah, he has interesting thoughts on toxic masculinity. Okay, that's fine. Just don't look at what he has to say about Palestinians and students who are in favor of Palestinian emancipation, or even like all this other stuff about like his opinion on masculinity and stuff. He's got a lot of weird takes. Anyway, let's continue with this.
Home to viral moments and everything from how-to tutorials.
You have to make these chopped Italian sandwiches. These
to fashion so and beauty trends.
These over here are the Cyber Monday deals I'm low-key looking at.
But in just 9 days, TikTok is set to disappear from America's app stores after Congress passed a law forcing its Chinese parent company ByteDance to sell the app or face a ban. Lawmakers from both parties and the White House argue it's a serious national security risk.
Oh, by the way, they are going to come after Tencent. They're going to come after League of Legends. I'm just letting you know right now. I am letting you know right now. They're going to come after League of Legends. They're going to come after Valorant. They're going to come after the drone producers. What is it called? DJI or whatever, the Chinese drone manufacturers. They're going to come after Chinese router companies like TP-Link. I'm just letting you know. DJI, sorry, yeah. Yes, Marvel Rivals might be on the chopping block. I am letting you know right now that the way things are going, they're going to try to clamp down on anything and everything that is made in China. This panic is not going away. It is not going to subside. It is going to get much worse. Let's continue.
The Chinese government can force TikTok to hand over Americans' data and use the app to spread misinformation. TikTok denies those claims, saying its American operations are separate and arguing
Dude, there's nothing funnier. There is nothing funnier than saying TikTok is responsible for the spread of misinformation, which it is. Okay, that's true. But exclusively TikTok is responsible for spreading misinformation. Have you seen Twitter? Have you seen Facebook? Have you seen any of the social media platforms out there? Like, if you cared about the dissemination of truth, right? Or if you cared about like hate speech or you know, all of these like divisive all these divisive statements coming out of social media and like dividing the public, then apply European style restrictions. Then you will never do that, of course, because this has nothing to do with national security fears. This has nothing to do with misinformation that TikTok is causing, and everything to do with TikTok being a Chinese operated company that is literally sucking up the rest of the social media marketplace. And they want to ensure that they're the only game in town. American owned companies must dominate the land. TikTok doesn't offer the same backdoors that every other social media platform offers to the American intelligence agencies. That's a big problem for them. And also, it's not controlled by by an American that is malleable, by a Westerner that is easier to control. That's the reason. That's why they absolutely hate it.
And violates the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. So far, federal judges have sided with the government, but later today, the Supreme Court's 9 justices will hear the arguments that...
I know they're already coming for Tencent. U.S. has Chinese tech giants that list of companies allegedly working with China's military. Yeah. Tencent. The U.S. Department of Defense has added Chinese tech companies Tencent, a social media and gaming giant, and CATL, the world's largest battery maker, to a list of firms that it alleges works with the Chinese military. And the thing is, they do. They do. Of course they do. You know who else works with the military, with their respective military? Every American company. Every company in the United States of America, from video game developers all the way to whatever, whatever goods manufacturing we have that remains here, okay? It's so stupid. If anything, the Chinese collaboration with the government / the Chinese military is much more limited than the overt American collaboration that every single one of our software companies and hardware companies works directly with the American military. Yeah, from Microsoft to Facebook to Amazon, everything. If they take away my League of Legends, I'm going full treatlerite. Yeah, Tencent Epic Games also works with the U.S. military. Epic partners with SwordTech for government and military applications. Epic Games has selected SwordTech as our official provider of licensing. Inclusion of the Pentagon list does not result in immediate sanctions, but it could affect the reputations of the companies named and hinder their commercial progress, particularly if they want to do business in the United States. Shares in Tencent, which owns Chinese super app WeChat, were 6.5% lower in Hong Kong on Tuesday, while CATL's Shenzhen-listed shares lost more than 3%. They joined dozens of other alleged Chinese military companies on the list that the Defense Department alleges operate directly or indirectly in the U.S., according to a notice posted in the Federal Register on Monday. The Pentagon has said the so-called 1260H list, which is updated annually, is an important continued effort in highlighting and countering China's military-civil fusion strategy, a goal to develop the most technologically advanced military in the world by eliminating barriers between the country's civilian research and commercial sectors and its armed forces. Meanwhile, we got this going on. Mr. Beast, Kelly Clarkson, and Guy Fieri were approved for Pentagon funds last year as military recruitment hits record lows. Look at that. Ridiculous. Yeah.
Like nation.
Mark Zuckerberg openly admitting that Meta works with intelligence community to identify foreign influence operations. Like, that's the major reason why they're so upset with TikTok too. And obviously the straw that broke the camel's back was when they got the Israel lobby on board with banning TikTok. Because if you recall, Donald Trump initially said he wanted to ban TikTok when he was president. There was a lot of motion to ban TikTok. This materialized and became a full-blown, he wanted to do it via executive authority. It didn't work, right? Then they turned to Congress. And the final straw that broke the camel's back was post-October 7 when the ADL got involved. When ADL and other Israel lobby arms got together and wanted to ban TikTok because there was too much pro-Palestinian sentiment going on those platforms, as opposed to like Meta, where if you say anything even remotely pro-Palestinian, you get banned. They were able to finally push Congress to take action, which they did, and then they voted for it, and then it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and now the Supreme Court is discussing whether or not to ban this website, and virtually all members of the supposedly liberal media, supposedly mainstream liberal media, are on board with this ban as well. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, given the advantages that he got from TikTok and a last-ditch effort, I think, from TikTok that opened up the content faucet for right-wing sentiment to thrive even more than it does, is now trying to save TikTok. At least that's what he's saying he wants to do.
That will determine TikTok's fate. After President-elect Donald Trump, who tried to ban TikTok during his first term, urged the Supreme Court to put the law on hold.
It's sad. It's really, really sad.
Hanging in the balance, many content creators and small businesses who make a living off of the app.
Hey there, I'm Nadia.
Like Nadia Okamoto, who has over 4 million followers.
If TikTok were to go away, we would be facing a really, really challenging situation.
Yeah, this is a very real issue because TikTok is virtually the only game in town for a lot of small businesses that have, become very successful small businesses. It's not even a joke. Like, this is straight up something that I brought. This is something that I brought up as well.
Now, if the ban does go into effect, TikTok isn't just going to disappear from your phone, but new users won't be able to download it and you won't get those software updates. So eventually the app would just stop working. Now, the Supreme Court is expected to make its final decision sometime next week before that January 19th deadline. Guys.
Okay, Selena, thanks. Let's bring in our chief legal analyst.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad because this means one less deliverable for me at work. I think that it is absolutely ridiculous that they are banning TikTok. Here's Mitt Romney openly admitting why they want to ban TikTok, by the way. I just want to point this out. Here it is.
Been so awful. I know that's not your area of expertise, but you have to have some thoughts on that, which is, I mean, as you've said, why has Hamas disappeared in terms of public perception?
I don't know how you can see how badly TikTok has broken people's brains, and I think it's bad to ban it. I don't agree with their reasoning, but it would be a net good. No, you want to know why? Because, and I've repeated this over and over again, TikTok is one of the only social media platforms where there is leftist sentiment that routinely goes viral. Every other social media platform actively clamps on this sort of sentiment and genuinely stops its distribution. That's the reason why they want to ban TikTok to begin with. It's a major part of the problem. So I say, if there are going to be no restrictions whatsoever, then yeah, I don't want the only platform where there is somewhat of a 50-50 split on left-leaning sentiment versus right-wing supercharged conspiracy theories is better overall than platforms like Twitter that is like completely overtaken by neo-Nazi nonsense. That's it. Yeah, exactly. TikTok is the most left-wing platform, which isn't saying much, by the way. Just so you understand, TikTok being the most left-wing platform doesn't mean that it's like all leftist content on there. It's not that at all. There's plenty of right-wing nut jobs on there too. There's plenty of conspiracy theories on there as well. What do you think will replace it? It seems inevitable that it'll be taken away. Yeah, people are just going to supercharge YouTube Short, you know? That's it. That's what's going to happen. People are going to go to other platforms, and that's precisely what these American-backed and Western-backed social media platforms want. They either want to be able to control TikTok and give it to the hands of, forcibly sell it to an American, or they want to just like eradicate it so that people just use Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. They've all made their competitive product, okay?
It's on the table to have a ceasefire, and yet the world is screaming about Israel. It's like, why aren't they screaming about Hamas? Accept the ceasefire, bring home the hostages. It's said it's all the other way around. I mean, typically the Israelis are good at PR. What's happened here? How have they and we been so ineffective at communicating the realities there? And
we're on an intravenous feed of information with new impulses, inputs every millisecond. And of course, the way this is played out on social media has dominated the narrative. And you have a social media ecosystem environment in which context, history, facts get lost, and the emotion, the impact of images dominates. And we can't discount that. But I think it also has a very, very, very challenging effect on the narrative.
Yeah, a small parenthetical point, which is some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok.
Yeah, what they're talking about isn't necessarily that TikTok is woke particularly, okay? They're simply stating correctly that TikTok has more left-wing sentiment in it. Like TikTok allows more left-wing sentiment than other platforms. This doesn't mean that it's like overwhelmingly leftist. The argument here is that because TikTok is not controlling the flow of information, they're admitting basically to suppressing any sort of left-wing sentiment. That's it. It's stuff like this. It's stuff like obviously Gaza, but then also Luigi Mangione. Okay, I'm telling you right now, there's only a permissible amount of left-wing sentiment that is allowed on websites. Okay, we got to take it out. We gotta take out anyone that is a naysayer of the State Department, no matter what the cost. I mean, I'll give you a personal example, obviously, of what I have gone through here on Twitch. Right? Think about how many outside organizations have come after the entirety of Twitch. Think about how many media articles have been written about my unacceptable anti-Semitism. Why? Because I'm pro-Palestinian. Okay? It is a laughable argument to make that I am even remotely anti-Semitic. I have spent so much of my media career combating anti-Semitism, explaining to people what dog whistles look like, and combating against fascist sentiment. And just like that, because of my overt and open defense of Palestinian emancipation, because of my unflinching support for Palestinian liberty, for human rights and recognition for Palestinians, immediately it's like, this guy is an anti-Semite. You have to ban him. And you're shadow banned on Insta. Exactly. That's the other side of this story. Okay, that's it.
I'd note that's of real interest, and the president will get the chance to make action in that regard.
Here's the other side of the story. Mark Zuckerberg on how Meta works with the intelligence community to identify foreign influence operations. Let's take a look.
Nation states or people interfering. A lot of that stuff is best rooted out at the level of kind of accounts doing phony things. It's effectively like intelligence, counterintelligence folks, counterterrorism folks, AI folks who are building systems to identify what are these accounts that are just not behaving the way that people would, and how are they interacting, and then sometimes you trace it.
Where is he shadow banned? Put my name on the Instagram search bar. See if you can find me. Do it. Look at this. Hassan Piker fans. Hassan Abi tweets. Hassan Minhaj. Hassan John Kaya. Hassan Abi posting. Hassan D Piker 69. Hassan D Piker page. Hassan D Piker memes. Hassan D _ Piker. You have to write my full username for me to come up. And I'm logged in on my own profile. Like, I'm logged in on my own profile and it still won't show up. Yeah, look at this. This is real. I don't follow my business account, but wanted to check your stories and I had a hard time finding you. Yeah. I mean, there's like, there are ways where you can find, if you're shadow banned or whatever, or blacklisted or whatever, but your own profile never shows up in search. You come up for me fine without typing out the name. Is this because I'm in Canada? Maybe. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I'm not here to complain and cry all the time about like, oh, my algorithm is bad or whatever. It doesn't matter ultimately, and it's varying results. Okay, I love how we can be shadow banned with no due process, no appeal, no way of even challenging it. Yeah, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It still shows, like, at least for the time being, it still shows what I'm putting out there to my audience, to the people that have already followed me. It just makes it much harder for new people to follow. It limits your engagement. Now, having said that, okay, the thing that is, what I'm talking about is a much larger problem. Like, Meta is so censorious on any sort of Palestinian sentiment, regardless of what Mark Zuckerberg is saying about like anti-DEI initiatives and whatever. Human Rights Watch did a report on it. Meta's broken promises, systemic censorship of Palestine content on Instagram and Facebook. Like Human Rights Watch was criticizing Facebook. They have had they've operated a major censorship regime on any sort of sentiment that is even remotely pro-Palestinian, so far as like to limit the engagement of accounts that have the Palestinian flag on them, on their descriptions. Like, it's crazy.
Down and sometimes you get some tips from different intelligence agencies, and then you can kind of piece together over time. It's like, oh, this network of people is actually some kind of fake cluster of accounts, and that's against our policies, and then we just take them all off. But
how are you sure? Like, is there a 100% certainty
that
you are definitely getting a group of people that are bad actors, or is it just people that have unpopular opinions?
No, I don't think it's that for this. I think,
but what I'm saying is, how do you determine?
Yeah.
Like, how do you at what percentage of accuracy are you determining it? Do you ever accidentally think that people that are going to get moderated are actually just real people?
Yes, I think for the specific problem around these like large coordinated groups doing kind of like election.
Yeah. Facebook literally tagged people as terrorists in their internal software for being pro-Palestinian. Okay, so understand that like these guys are not. I mean, this is like as straightforward as it gets. According to Amnesty and many other human rights organizations, Facebook played a significant role, which Mark Zuckerberg even apologized for, promoting violence against Rohingya, and that Meta owes reparations. Myanmar, Facebook systems promoted violence against Rohingya, the Muslims.